Hello, everyone. This is Independent Conservative. Thank you all for joining me once again. I didn't know this, and I didn't really pay attention to this, the fact that it is May 1st. But I didn't pay attention to the fact that May 1st is very important to the communists. Yeah, it's May Day. It's what they call it. Remember that term, May Day? Now it's called International Workers' Day. Well, anyway, this article I'm about to read to you guys is pretty shocking because apparently the Democratic Party has associated itself with quite a few radical far-left communist groups in order to celebrate May Day, International Workers' Day. To recognize that. Let's get right into this. The title of the article says, Democrat Party planning May Day events with communist groups. I don't understand what's going on with the Democrats right now. I really don't understand them. Up to 600 communist groups and other radical organizations linked to the Democratic Party are mobilizing all over the United States to demonstrate for May Day, Fox News Digital is reporting. By the way, this article comes from Breitbart News, and I'm going to say this up front. Some people got a problem with Breitbart News. Okay, I get it. But if you have something that's contrasting this, then please let me know in the comment box. Okay, but the news is the news. It is what it is. An investigation by the outlet has identified a sprawling network with a combined annual revenue of about $2 billion organizing some 3,000 protests and events, pushing what the outlet describes as, quote, an anti-American agenda. The protesters are urging Americans, now get this part, the protesters are urging Americans to skip work, school, and shopping. Now, I find it interesting, and I'm not saying that this is the case, but I find it interesting because today I got a text from my boss was a group text asking for someone to fill in for first shift this morning because I work second shift, asking for someone to fill in for first shift because someone from first shift called off. Now, it could be for any kind of reason. I have no clue what the reason could be, because they sick or whatever. But it would be weird if they said, well, I called off because of International Workers' Day or May Day. It's a holiday. Because this is what this article is saying. It says the protesters are urging Americans to skip work, school, and shopping. To celebrate this day, basically, to recognize this day for you workers. And I'm going to get into the details of that, okay? May Day has its origins in workers' demonstrations in the 19th century. And that's true. I actually read up on this. Initially called International Workers' Day in 1890, the event, 1890 people, communism was formed. The Communist Manifestos, rather, was written in 1848 by Karl Marx, the founder of communism. So you can see that up until that point, communism had gotten a grip. 1848, the Communist Manifestos was written, and this so-called International Workers' Day initiated in 1890. Over decades of pushing a communist agenda. So much of it was in people's minds. They had been already conditioned to accept the communist worldview, which was initiated by Karl Marx. So that just goes to show you that the worldview of communism is very, very convincing and very persuasive. But it's actually a Trojan horse. But let's go on. The events called for worldwide demonstrations in the memory of workers killed in 1886 protests in Chicago. According to Fox Digital, at the center of the May Day mobilization, which has expanded from earliest indications, is a network of communist, socialist, Marxist, and other far-left organizations led by chapters of the Democratic Socialists of America and a network of groups. Now, the Democratic Socialists of America is exactly that. They are socialists. I think Ocasio-Cortez, whatever her name is, AOC, whatever her name is, she's a member of this group. And it's basically the Democratic Socialists of America is basically a soft form of communism. They are a part of our government. Quiet as it may be kept, they are a part of our government. But anyway, the Democratic Socialists of America and a network of groups, including the People's Forum, the Party for Socialism and Liberation, Answer Coalition, and Code Pink, funded by an American-born tech tycoon, Neville Roy Singham, based in Shanghai, promoting the propaganda of the Chinese Communist Party. Wow. The Communist Party of the USA has rallied workers to, quote, rise against MAGA on May Day. Really? Promoting leaflets by the People's World, its Marxist-Leninist publication, the Revolutionary Communist Party has put out a call to dismantle the, quote, capitalist imperialist system. I pray that things don't be crazy today. I really do. I pray that things, but the way our country is going and the way people are so dumbed down and stupid, it might just. It might just. Okay? The Miles Communist Union has summoned members to join the anti-imperialist contingent at the New York City protest. Wow. Unlike in decades past, the Democratic Party has increasingly associated itself with radical elements organizing through indivisible MoveOn.org, the American Federation of Teachers, and 13 states and local chapters of the Democratic National Committee, as well as the California Democratic Party, Fox reported. The outlet reported protests and events scheduled in D.C., Chicago, and more than 24 other U.S. cities, including Indio, California, where the annual Coachella Music Festival is held. One Democrat said the Democratic Party involvement in May Day with the radical groups comes at their own peril. Quote, the increasing willingness of mainstream Democrats to align with extremist socialist groups is a major factor in why the Democratic Party is losing the center more and more, and why so many lifelong Democrats find themselves feeling politically homeless, Democratic strategist Melissa DeRosa told Fox News Digital. May Day has a proud history of honoring workers, she continued, but too many Democratic organizations have allowed that tradition to be hijacked by the activist fringe, including groups aligned with the Democratic Socialists of America, pushing a fantasy agenda that has failed everywhere it has been tried. End of article right there. And I'm sorry I had to read the whole article because I want you guys to get the gist of it, but you get it right there. I read that article. You heard that. I didn't make it up. This is what the article says. It's stating the facts. If you got any contrary information, you let me know in the commentary box below. But it is what it is. It's news. It's just written news. It's news in written form. Now, with that being said, let me just say this right up front. And I say it and I'm going to keep saying it. Communism, I don't care how it looks. I don't care how it sounds. I don't care how people feel about it. It is an evil, corrupt, satanic worldview. If you adhere to it, if you vote for people who push that type of stuff, you're going to vote the devil in office. It's just that simple. I don't want to hear nothing about Trump. I don't want to hear anything about Trump. I really don't. I don't want to hear about who you trying to be a king. I don't want to hear about all of that. I don't want to hear about all of that because it's a bunch of bull crap. Like I told you guys before, I don't accept and agree with everything Trump is doing. Okay? But when you really look at it, what really is he doing that's really, really, really bad to the point where we just so oppressed? Or are we feeling the way we're feeling because of what we're watching in the mainstream news? CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, all these liberal mainstream news sources who have an invested interest in demonizing Trump and calling him a Nazi and a racist every day, all the time, over and over and over again, which leads to mind control and it initiates a bunch of brainwashed people who think they're getting the truth into hating on the man and hating anyone that has an opposite worldview. That's demonic, it's satanic, it's a lie, and I don't agree with it. And that I stand on. If people want to accept communism, that's on them. I'm telling you right up front, man, it's a destructive, it's almost about to say heresy. Because in a sense it is. In a sense it is. And as that individual was saying about the Democratic Party, for whatever weird reason, I don't know why they're aligning themselves with these radical groups. I don't know why. I just don't know why. And as she said, it's like, well, this is the reason why they're losing many people who were lifelong Democrats and that voted for the Democratic Party. They're leaving them. I mean, I remember because of these radical views, people that vote Democrat are not evil people. They're not. They're not evil people. Many of them love America just like people who are conservatives and vote for Republicans. Many of them love America. They're loving, God-fearing people. And if I in any way suggested that in any of my previous videos, I'm sorry about that. I may have misjudged people. Most people that vote for the Democrats, they mean right. They mean well. But many of them, and they love America. And many of them are Christians and love God, okay? So, and have strong morals and values. They just think that, certain things that the Democratic Party is good, but that's fine. I don't totally agree, but that doesn't mean that they are not sincere, okay? That's my point. But it's clear that many of them are leaving the Democratic Party and voting elsewhere, not voting at all, because they're like, man, these people are too radical. This is not what I want. I don't want these kind of ideologies being pushed into schools and pushed in movies and pushed in finances and pushed in economics. That's too extreme. I was watching an interview by Chuck Norris years ago, and this was the celebration of Chuck Norris' life. As you all know, he had passed a few weeks ago, and someone was interviewing Chuck Norris, and it was, I guess it was some kind of political interview, but they asked, I can't remember exactly what question they asked him, but he said, I used to be Democrat, but he said, I don't vote for the Democrats anymore. And they said, why? He says, well, because they're just too radical. They become too radical. Think about it. This is what Chuck Norris said, and this wasn't AI. I can tell when something is AI and when it's not. I can tell. I've trained my eyes to be able to recognize it. Plus, I've studied on how to recognize AI imagery and so forth. And it was not AI. Okay, it was not AI. And this particular interview was some years ago. Okay, and they asked Chuck Norris, and he said, but the Democrats have changed. They've become too radical. So he says, I don't vote for the Democrats anymore. And that's the issue, because they've aligned themselves with these radical, hateful groups, these communist groups, Democratic Socialists of America, and all of these type of groups they've associated themselves with. And these people hate America. They hate America. They hate America. Communists, socialists, Marxists, progressives, whichever one you want to call them, they hate America. And any country that they infiltrate, any country that they become a part of, they hate that country's worldviews, belief systems, and all the rest. Their purpose is to destroy the foundation of those countries and rebuild them into a communist country. And history have shown, real history have shown, that when that happens and the true communists come out of the woodworks, all hell is going to break loose. And if you think you don't have any freedoms now, you wait till the real communists take over, boo-boo. Wait till the real ones take over. You want to celebrate May Day? Go ahead with your bad self. Because most people don't even know what May Day really represents. It's a communist holiday. Sooner or later, if people don't get smart and if they stay dumb and ignorant, sooner or later, they're going to start saying, well, let's make this a national holiday. If they haven't already in some states, I have no clue. They might have. I don't know. But sooner or later, they're going to start making it into a national holiday. And oh my goodness, it's going to be hard trying to convince people that you're going down the wrong road, boo. You're going down the wrong road. You're voting for people that hate you and that hate America. And they want to control you in every aspect of your life, even to the point of what you think, what you eat, what you drink, what you watch, what you listen to. All this yicking and yakking about fascism and all the rest, which is another form of control. Everybody focusing on fascism and associating Trump with fascism. But while we're sitting there focusing on Trump and fascism and Nazism and all of that, everybody's missing the communist encroachment. Everybody's missing the communist encroachment that's been a part of this country for decades because we've been brainwashed and conditioned to focus on fascism. And Trump is a fascist and Trump is a Nazi and the MAGA people are Nazis and they just want to take you out and all of this, which is weird because I haven't seen any of that yet. But I have seen these radical leftist groups assaulting people, deleting people, and everything else. You name it, that's what they've been doing. That's not my opinion. Those are facts. I don't know why anybody with a brain could deny it. They do, but if they do, get away from me because you're a weirdo. Really, like seriously, bro. Sister, you're a weirdo because you denying reality right in your face. Just saying, you know. Yeah, this is what's going on, man. Come on. You know, they're focusing all their attention on Trump and fascism and Nazism. And while they're doing that, they're missing the encroachment of communism in all of our institutions. And now we've come to a point that I've never heard of where these radical far left groups that are associated and linked with the Democratic Party are calling for people in America to action. Really? What kind of action are you talking about? People, that's communism. That's how they always have operated in other countries when they would take them over. They would get all the workers to come together and say, hey, we got to stop these imperialists. Now, let me say this. Is there some truth to corporations and businesses abusing workers, not paying workers their fair share? Yeah, true. That is. That has happened then. It happens now. Okay? It happens now. But not as much as the communists and the Marxists are pushing the idea of it being. It's not as bad as they make it to be. It's not. Because at the end of the day, these corporations and businesses are not responsible for the inflation and all of the other crazy stuff that's going on in our society. That's another video in and of itself. Can we say the Federal Reserve? And I'll leave it at that. I mean, come on, man. You know, and there's so many factors about that. I'm not going to get into that in this video. But what they do is, the communists and the Marxists, what they do is they amplify negative aspects. They amplify and make it worse than it actually is in order to get people to side with them and make the people feel victimized and oppressed. And once you make the people feel victimized and oppressed, you can get them to side with you. And once you get them to side with you and get enough decent numbers, then you can get them to overthrow the imperialist system. But it never happens. You want to know why? I'm ending up signing on this. Because the true imperialists, the international banking families that own many of these multinational corporations, are the ones financing these communist movements, Dumbo. So you will never get rid of, I'm not saying anybody here is dumb, but you will never get rid of the imperialists, because it's the imperialists, the real imperialists, the international banking families that are using the multinational corporations and financing, rather, the multinational corporations, rather, are financing these proxy groups to bring about communism. And guess what? You're going to have the same rich and poor concept that you had when you was under the so-called fascist regime. Under the so-called Nazi regime. The rich and the poor. And guess who the rich are going to be? And I said it before, I say it again. The communists at the very top and you and I at the very bottom. But we rah communism. Come on, communism. We need you. Give us the goodies. Okay, we will. Let's take over and give you the crumbs and we'll still be the rich people. That's history. Look throughout history. That is history. That is how every single communism regime have happened. When the communists took over, they were the people and they were the rich people and everybody else was poor. So all this yipping and yapping about destroying imperialism never works. It's always the same thing. Just live your life. That's how I said, live your life. Go on about your business. Forget about all this nonsense and live your life. Become a Christian. Give one's life over to God. Not preaching, but I am. you know, to make things a little bit better in your life, okay? Because you have a sense of peace and direction, and you will know in your heart God is in control, and all of this stuff is in fulfillment of Bible prophecy. But that's another story, and I digress. I'm not going to go into it here. You can look at watch my Christian YouTube channel for that. But anyway, yeah, that's crazy. That's insane. But I'm not surprised. Let's see what happens on May Day. Let's see if anybody acts up and starts rioting and starts acting crazy in order to destroy the imperialistic system. Let's see. And then I'll do a video on that foolishness, okay? But anyway, what do you guys think? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe to my channel. God bless you all. See you again.